What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to a review and test drive of this beautiful base model 2022 Porsche Taycan. I just want to give a huge thank you and shout out to Maserati of Tysons Corner again, especially Sean, the general manager here, for allowing me to review this beautiful Taycan. It is for sale in their pre-owned lot, and I'll have all of their contact information in the description box below. But this is going to be a full tour, test drive, and review of this Taycan. And I think the Taycan is a really interesting car nowadays. As you guys are probably familiar, this car was released back in 2020 to compete with entries such as the Tesla Model S, the Lucid Air, and stuff like that in the full-size electric car, sedan segment here. And this has been a really interesting segment, especially now as the used values are playing out in the market. As many of you know, electric vehicle values, especially like I said in the used market, have taken a pretty significant hit in depreciation. And now that these cars are a little bit more settled in the market, I feel that they are incredible values, especially for the performance and the luxury and the capabilities that they offer. This Taycan in particular is also pretty interesting to me because it's the base model. You don't see too many base model Taycans around. Obviously, everyone talks about the full performance models like the Turbo and the Turbo S, and obviously with competitors like Tesla and the Model S Plaid. But in my opinion, this base model Taycan is really all you need, and I'm really happy that I have this one here to show you guys today. So like I said, this is a 2022 Porsche Taycan. It is finished in this gorgeous shade of frozen blue metallic. It is a stunning color. And if you take a look up at the front end styling here, you can see it is very simple but elegant. You can see you have the full LED headlights right there with the little cooling fins right underneath those to actually channel some air around the side of the wheels here. They actually removed these styling elements in the facelift Taycan, and I actually think that's a shame because I like the way these look up here. The Taycan being fully electric also offers a small front trunk. We'll go ahead and show that to you guys by popping it with the key. You can see the unlock button lock the front trunk, the rear trunk, and the key shape itself kind of resembles the overall silhouette, I guess, of the Taycan and the Panamera. So it is a pretty cool design there, but we'll go ahead and open it up and I'll show you guys that the trunk here offers around 2.9 cubic feet of storage. It is pretty deep, so you can fit, a small overnight bag and stuff like that. You also have a couple small storage compartments right there for like the roadside tools. Up front, you have a set of sport design or aero style 20-inch wheels here. You can see the graphite gray Porsche crest that looks very nice. You also have the huge 6-piston front calipers. Like I said, these front wheels, or actually all the wheels in general, have these sort of aero covers right there to help improve the overall efficiency. In terms of the overall dimensions of the Taycan sedan here, it's around 195 inches long and 55 inches tall. It actually has a coefficient of drag of right around 0.22, which is excellent and helps contribute to that electric range. It also has the same dimensions roughly as the Panamera, so if you guys are familiar with that, this kind of overall shape will look very familiar. Obviously, with the more sporty roof line, it intrudes on the cabin space a little bit, which we'll talk a bit more about in a second. Moving around to the rear of the Taycan, you can see it is very aerodynamic. The Taycan script right there, which looks very nice. The Porsche logo also in the light bar. You also have full LED taillights. If you go ahead and unlock the car, you can see what those look like. But if we go ahead and actually open the trunk on the car, you can see you just press this button and it is a standard opening, if you will. If you want more space, you can actually option for the Porsche Taycan Cross Turismo or the Sport Turismo, which is more of a hatchback style. But as you can see, you have around 14.3 of total cubic space back here, which isn't too bad. The load floor is actually pretty low, which is nice, but the opening itself is pretty small, obviously due to the rear end styling. But nonetheless, you have the level 2 charger back here that you can plug in at your house. You also have some storage on the left and the right. And obviously, like I showed you, you also have the front trunk as well. There are so many different powertrain and battery options available on the Taycan, but this being the base model uses a single electric motor on the rear axle, so this car is rear-wheel drive. It has the base battery as well, so it is a 79 kilowatt-hour unit. Then it makes 406 horsepower and 250 foot-pounds of torque. 0 to 60 is in 5.1 seconds, and you have around 200 miles of electric range. The base Taycan also offered a Performance Battery Plus option, so it would increase the battery size to around 90 kilowatts, and you would have 450 horsepower, and you would have 250 miles of electric range. Curb weight is right around 4,500 pounds, which is actually pretty light compared to a lot of the other offerings in the segment. And obviously the battery runs along the floor of the car, so it has a really nice center of gravity. Like I just mentioned, the Taycan platform has so many different models and trims that you can choose from. You can have much faster versions in the Turbo S, or you could have more practical versions like the Sport Turismo and the Cross Turismo. You can have a range of horsepowers from 400 to 700. So it's just an amazing platform that really has a lot of flexibility flexibility in terms of performance and overall usability. The Taycan actually offers two different areas to charge the car. If we go ahead and open up the door on the driver's side, you can see this is the J1772 type plug. This is where you would do the level 1 and level 2 charging at your house and other areas such as that. But if we move along to the passenger door, you can see it is the same J1772 plug, but it also has the capability for DC fast charging by opening up this little port right here. The Taycan actually uses an 800 volt architecture, so in theory this thing could charge from 10 to 80% in around 18 minutes at one of those DC fast chargers. At more common level 2 chargers at your house, it'll take around 9.5 hours to fully charge the battery. Let's go ahead and hop in the Taycan, and obviously this car has smart key access with these flush door handles. All you have to do to unlock is just kind of stick your finger behind the door handle and pull it to open, and if you want to lock it, you can just press this little section on the handle to do so. But once you hop inside, this one is finished in the standard black leather interior, which is very nice. You can see the Porsche 3-spoke steering wheel. You have Taycan kick plates right there. This one's also equipped with the Bose audio system. As you hop inside, you do have to mind your head a little bit due to that very aggressive roof line, but once you're in, you can see you're greeted by this very nice leather wrap steering wheel, 3 spokes, obviously, the 16-inch fully customizable instrument cluster. But let's go ahead and just power this thing on. There's no exhaust or anything, so all you have to do is just put your foot on the brake and hit the little power button on the left side of the steering wheel. Directly in front of you is the 16.8-inch fully customizable instrument cluster. Right now you have these 3 different dials for the G meter, the speed, and the power indicator, as well as for some other vehicle functions. You actually control everything with this left or right side of the steering wheel. Right now you can use the wheel to control the one in the center. You can put a full screen map in there. You can also put an extended map, which would increase it, obviously. To cycle through the other menus, obviously, you want to go back to the power meter, go over to the right. You can see you can have information, media, trip, and another navigation tab. On the left side, you can also have that G meter, but you can also have tire information, traffic signs, as well as driver assistance systems. You also have a 10.9-inch center infotainment display right here. You can see all the various different apps and icons right here. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. You have this menu on the left that stays there to help you kind of navigate through the various menus. You go into the charging menu. You can obviously pre-cool the battery and precondition it to get ready to charge. Like I said, you have a bunch of different other options as well for assistance and vehicle and air conditioning settings. 8.4-inch display to control everything. You can see you have these menus at the top to kind of correspond to the top part of the screen right here. But you also, like I said, have the climate controls for fan speed, heated and ventilated seats, and this section right here, you can pop the front trunk, look at some battery information in the center screen, or in the middle screen, excuse me. You also have a sport mode to power off the display and your volume adjustment. You also have a passenger screen that kind of mimics the overall look of the center infotainment screen. You can put a full screen map in here if you so choose. You can also have some gauges right here, like the G meter and some speed and compass and everything like that. So very nice, and a lot of customization options available for tech in this cabin. To the right of the steering wheel, you also have the controller for the 2-speed automatic transmission. All you have to do to put it in drive is just put your foot on the brake and press down like so, and you're ready to go. You can also press up like so to put it in reverse, and this one is optioned with the full 360 camera and parking sensors. And lastly, to put the vehicle in park, you could just hit the P like so. If we take a quick look at the rear seat of the Taycan, you can see you have to watch your head again because of the low roof line, but same nice materials on the door panel. The space isn't the greatest, obviously. That's kind of a standard driving position, if you will. But the good news is that you can actually fold these seats down like so to increase the cargo space for the rear. But with all that being said, let's go ahead and set the camera up and take the Taycan for a little test drive. All right, guys, welcome to the inside of the base Taycan here. I'm really excited to drive this car. I've actually never driven a Taycan before, and this one being a base model is really, really impressive, especially given that this is a used value now all of a sudden, and these things have become pretty affordable on the used car market. Brand new, I think this thing was around 100 grand, excuse me, not 200 grand. That would be the Turbo S. But first impressions of the Taycan here as we just kind of get started on the drive is that this thing is amazingly quiet. There is no noise whatsoever. Obviously there's no engine or anything like that, but it also feels very well insulated in here. There's no noises from the electric motors or anything like that. The one thing I did want to talk to you guys about, you can see in this menu right here, the electric sports sound. We actually have that off. If we go ahead and turn it on, you can see, or maybe hear, there's a little bit more noise that's pumped through the speakers. Obviously that's fully artificial, but you can have that sort of engaging experience with that sports sound. I kind of like that. Sounds pretty cool, honestly. As we take off from the stoplight here, I have the electric sports sound still turned on, and it sounds really, really cool. I'm actually very impressed with that. I know electric cars get a lot of negative criticism for having no engine noise, but that's actually surprisingly entertaining. Throttle response is actually very, very good as well. You just it's very natural, very progressive. There's no kind of jumping around or anything with the electric motors. It's very easy to learn to drive on, if you will, if this is your first experience with an electric car. As we turn on to some of these back roads here, I'm going to put the car in sport mode, and already I can feel that the steering has gotten a lot heavier. The throttle response is also much sharper. It really kind of feels like how a Porsche should. As you guys know, in the family we have the 2020 Porsche Panamera, and I would say dynamically this feels very similar, if not superior, given that the battery runs through the center of the car. It feels really balanced and really well planted. You don't have a big engine kind of hanging over the front of the car. I'm actually very, very impressed with the overall kind of handling package of this car. So we take this turn here, there's very little body roll. One thing I'm also really impressed with in this car is the ride quality. It feels very supple, but also it's not too firm. We are still in sport mode, and like I said, it really doesn't give any sort of body roll, but it's also not a punishing suspension in any sense. I know you can option the Taycan, I believe, with air suspension on the Turbo and the Turbo S, but I think the regular kind of steel springs in this car feel really, really nice. Went into the settings here and changed the recuperation from auto to on, and I can definitely feel there's a lot more regen braking going on. It's definitely still not as strong as the Model 3 and the Model S. As we turn onto the bigger, larger roads here and give it a little bit of gas, this thing is not slow. I know that 0 to 60 is in 5.1 seconds, something like that, which in electric car speak is not that fast. But honestly, this is more than enough in my opinion. You have the 2-speed transfer or 2-speed transmission in this car that kind of has a lower and a higher ratio to help kind of reduce the tapering off of the higher speeds that electric cars like to do. I know it wouldn't be an electric car video without talking about the range here for a second. So right now this one's pretty much fully charged and it has a range of around 202 miles. I think earlier I said that this one has the standard battery pack, but I actually think this one's equipped with the optional 90 kilowatt hour because it's showing over 200 miles of range. But nonetheless, I know the Taycan has had some criticism for being one of the lowest range electric cars in its class. You know, I said this in some of my other electric car videos. It's really all about your lifestyle and how you can fit this car into that. You know, there are cars in this class that have 300 miles of range, but you know, a lot of people don't go 300 miles, like obviously in a certain day or even a week. So a lot of people just plug these in overnight, and I think like 90% of electric vehicle charging is done at home anyway. So to be honest, I don't think range anxiety is really much of a concern in this thing. You really just have to adapt and be flexible and just kind of plan your trips accordingly. But overall, guys, I'm a big fan of the Taycan, a lot more than I thought I would be, to be honest with you. I'm really a fan of electric cars in general. I think they're great daily commuters, and especially on the used market, like I said, the Taycan is a great value. It drives great, you know, it feels really well built. It's still a Porsche after all. And obviously some of the complaints that I talked about, like the range and stuff like that, you just need to make sure you can fit it into your lifestyle and have that sort of flexibility. But nonetheless, this is a great car. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed this look at this 2022 Porsche Taycan. Huge thank you again to Maserati of Tysons for allowing me to film this car. If you did enjoy, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe for a ton of cool content coming very soon. And I'll catch you in the next one.